Always had the dream of competing. Felt a little intimidated at first. Within an hour, I was pretty pumped up. Butterflies were rolling. Did all my homework and I was ready. So I started here in September of 2014. I was sitting at about 210 pounds at that time. That's the heaviest I'd been. And I actually came here through a referral from a guy I'd met, months prior to that, who had been in and out of this place, and he was a competitor. And I met him actually at the Nutri-Shop in Warrington, and he had mentioned the name of the gym to me. Several months before that, I started my new job in Langhorne, and I needed a gym to train at. So, having had that referral, I was like, heck with it, I'm going to go try this Greg Long's gym out. Now, years prior to that, I had actually given the competition thing a shot. I was about 25 years old, and my head wasn't totally in it. I was in pretty good shape at the time, but I was partying and doing a lot of the things I really couldn't do to get to be the best that I could be. I was training with a guy who was definitely a good trainer, but my head wasn't in the game. I wasn't confident. I didn't feel right about what I was doing. And unfortunately, I actually had a death in the family at the time. So that was 4 weeks out from the show. I actually pulled out. I went to school. I went back to school to be a PT, and during that time, it was just not in the cards. I graduated from school, got a job, and then I ended up here. During that time, I gained a lot of weight, got out of shape, and I was still training, but really not paying close attention to dieting and everything, and I let myself get way out of control. But the reality is that whole time, I really always had an ambition to get on stage and compete. And a lot of people kind of laughed that dream off. People said, you're never going to be able to do that kind of thing, and that's not in the cards for you, that kind of thing. But it was always in the back of my head. However, the reality is I wasn't sure really how achievable it was. And I don't think, had I ever come here, I don't think I ever would have made it happen. I think I needed someone like Greg to not just teach me the way, but keep me inspired and kind of push me along. Because you really need that. You need someone in your corner to not only tell you what you need to do, but make it seem like it's realistic. And Greg did all those things for me. But anyway, to answer your question, I've always had the dream of competing, and it really wasn't until I came here that I really hit the nail on the head and made it happen.
This is it.
Okay, relax. Come on, you guys can hoot and holler for these guys. They worked hard. First timers. Front lat spread. Okay, relax.
So the day before the show was actually a pretty crazy day. I took a half day from work. Got out of work at 12:30, came here and posed with Greg. And Greg introduced me to his wife, and I went through my routine a few times, and we had a couple pep talks. And then the rest of the afternoon and evening was I had to go get polygraphed, I had to come home, go get the tanner, weigh in, all that stuff. So I was real busy the night before, and it's probably a good thing because it kind of kept my mind focused on other things. It wasn't until probably 10 o'clock at night I sat down and then I said to myself, wow, this is really happening. I had butterflies, but I was excited. I really was. I'd say the year prior, if I would have fast forwarded and thinking about how I would have been feeling at that moment, I probably would have thought, I'd be scared to death. But the reality is, I knew we did everything right. We put everything into the basket. So I felt confident. Fast forward to the next morning, I got up early. Again, I was excited. I had my breakfast. I had a meal that I hadn't really had in a while. I had some sugar in it with some jelly and it tasted excellent. Had a couple cups of coffee and I was ready to go. I couldn't wait. Get to the show, start to get to the backstage in the pump-up room, and I'm seeing some great physiques and felt a little intimidated at first. Greg was there with me, and he told me what to do. We started. We threw candy and niacin, cantaloupe, ice cream into the mix just to get some blood flowing, get the veins going, and we started hitting it up with the stability bands and the push-ups and dips, and I started filling up pretty quickly. Within an hour, I was pretty pumped up, and the butterflies were rolling. They definitely were, and I competed in 3 divisions that morning, the pre-judging. I came out, did the debut, came off stage, and everybody told me how good a job I did. And immediately the butterflies kind of settled. Went back out to do the novice lightweight, and I felt a whole new wave of confidence. Went back out again for the open lightweight, and felt even more confident, even though that was a more competitive division. But as the day went on, I felt better and better and better, and felt more confident because people were telling me they were pretty impressed with how I did, and that certainly settled things. But again, to answer your question, I thought I would have been more nervous than I was, but again, I think we did everything we could have. I came in prepared, did all my homework, and I was ready.
Okay, relax. Your favorite side chest, guys. Favorite side chest. Okay, relax. Favorite side tricep.
So overall, it was an outstanding experience. I had a great time that day of the show. It was a long day, but it was a lot of fun. I was very happy with how I did. I think I placed well for my first show especially, and I brought the package I expected to bring. So very happy with the results. Looking back at the pictures, I definitely am pointing out areas that need improvement, and honestly, I want to improve on those flaws. I think that I can do way better than I did, and I honestly love this sport. I love training. I love being in the gym, and I like the goal-oriented nature of competing. It gives you something to work hard toward. What my long-term goal is with this sport, I don't know, but I feel like I'm just getting my feet wet with this thing, and I think that I've got a lot more potential. So honestly, I absolutely would love to get back on stage again. When that will happen, I don't know. Right now, I'm getting married at the end of June, so that's where my mind is at this point. But when we get through that, I'm gonna circle back, talk to Greg, and we're gonna hopefully map out a strategy here. I got a couple things in the back of my mind as to what I want to do, but I don't want to say that yet. But ultimately, I would like to get back into the competition, and I got some unfinished business to do.
Okay, thank you guys. We'll see you guys later.